During the 2020 era, it seemed like Amazon killed brick and mortar retailers as stores closed down everywhere. The news coverage could have been more encouraging too. Images of empty stores, disheartened workers, and struggling owners surfaced on the internet. But the retail industry saw a surprising and much needed comeback during 2021 and early 2022. Customers were tired of ordering everything online and wanted the good old shopping experience. However, something entirely different is threatening the retail industry again. And this time, it looks like it is on the verge of collapse again. Due to the excessive money printing for stimulus and the Russia-Ukraine war, inflation in the US started to explode, and it was no longer transitionary. The Fed has since responded by increasing interest rates rapidly. For an economy that has become addicted to cheap money, money is no longer cheap, and struggling businesses face the biggest issues. Customer confidence is decreasing, and people simply purchase less due to fears of recession and massive layoffs. So, here are the top 10 retailers collapsing right now. At number 10, JCPenney. JCPenney has been a household name for middle-class Americans seeking affordable home furnishing and clothing for over a century. But the wave of retail bankruptcy has not spared it. The company was on its way to a slow demise, as it had not been profitable since 2010, with net losses of $4.5 billion. But the restrictions of COVID-19 proved to be disastrous for a company already suffering. It filed for bankruptcy soon after the COVID-19 regulations started after 118 years in business. JCPenney sells mostly discretionary goods, and as the inflation rates are soaring, the company's customers are cutting back their spending on non-essential goods. This has impacted the already declining sales of the company. The company is also unable to handle the fierce competition from larger retailers such as Amazon, Walmart, and Target. During the bankruptcy process, the company closed more than 200 stores and restructured its debt. To turn around the sad fate of the company, Simon Property Group or SPG and Brookfield Assessment Management or BAM stepped in. The two firms rescued the company for $1.75 billion in the fall of 2020. Number 9 is Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond has been all over the news recently, as the struggling retailer has raised about $225 million in an equity offering. It was its desperate attempt to stay afloat. If you follow the stock market closely, you might remember the ticker symbol BBBY as part of a short squeeze originating in Reddit. The company started its operation in 1971 and opened more than 1,000 stores at its peak. However, e-commerce hit it hard too. The company's revenue began to steadily decline in 2019 and is now closing about 150 of its remaining 700 US locations. In June 2022, it reported a $358 million net loss in its first quarter. The company is failing to attract its customers amidst the growing interest in e-commerce and cannot compete with competitors like Walmart and Target. I had some hope for it after Ryan Cohen, but oh well. Number 8, the infamous GameStop. Talking about Ryan Cohen, who can forget GameStop? Like many retail stores, GameStop has also become a victim of digitalization and the pandemic. The company gained popularity and was constantly in the headlines in 2021 after the Wall Street bets degenerates decided to YOLO their life savings on short squeezing GameStop and taking on Wall Street. This caused the company's stock to rise by 1,500%, and all happened in a matter of weeks. The company has certainly gotten a new life after its popularity, but it didn't last very long. It had raised new investments at those insane valuations but closed 462 stores in 2020 as the sales had dropped drastically. The company had already been affected by digital games, but the pandemic and closure of all non-essential businesses caused its sales to plummet further. Currently, the company is in the middle of restructuring. Ryan Cohen promised some significant changes, but aside from a few NFT projects that aren't very good, I don't see too much going on at GameStop. Number 7 is Disney. Disney's retail stores are undoubtedly another victim of the current e-commerce craze. Disney stores, which were once the attraction of the malls, are now nowhere to be found. Rather than operating their stores themselves, the Walt Disney Company licensed the stores to other companies, which probably caused hundreds of stores to close. Like many retailers, the COVID-19 pandemic was the final nail in the coffin for Disney stores, and they shut down 155 stores in 2021. Currently, only 2022 Disney stores are in operation throughout the US. Although its retail stores are failing, Disney is doing well with its online content and streaming service Disney Plus, which generated $7.4 billion in 2022. Number 6. Office Depot. Office Depot is in trouble as the demand for office supplies has decreased for almost 2 decades. The decreasing demand is caused by the increased popularity of remote work, the rise of e-commerce and Amazon, along with competitors like Walmart and Target. As part of their restructuring plan, Office Depot announced that they will be closing an unspecified number of stores. A total of 262 stores were closed from 2020 to 2021. The company reported that its retail division sales were down 11% in the second quarter of 2022 as compared to 2021. This was caused by the closure of 71 retail locations throughout the US. Number 5. CVS Pharmacy. CVS, the largest pharmacy chain in the country and the 4th largest corporation in America, is also sizing down as per their announcement in 2021. The company announced in 2021 that they plan to close 900 of its retail stores in the next 3 years. The drugstore retail chain said that they're taking this step to focus more on the company's digital growth. The company is being forced to shake up its business in the aftermath of the pandemic when online consumerism grew exponentially. It also brought about a huge change in consumer habits as more people get their prescriptions filled online. Alongside the effects of the pandemic, the entry of Amazon in this sector has also posed the company with the risk of losing its customers. To remain competitive, the company is focusing on expanding its digital presence. Along with digital-focused service, the company is planning to use 3 different store formats, converting some of its stores into healthcare destinations. Number 4. Brooks Brothers. Brooks Brothers are notably one of the oldest and most prestigious retailers in the country. Founded in 1818, its history stretches over 2 centuries, but its rich history could not save it from being the victim of the wave of retail closures after the pandemic started. The company permanently closed 51 of its stores in 2020. With the pandemic, the work-from-home and sweatpants culture accelerated, and suddenly, with the closing of workspaces, no one needed a suit and pants to go to work or give an interview. Everything could be done from home. This change decreased the sales of the company drastically, and it was having trouble staying afloat. In July 2020, it filed for bankruptcy. Besides the pandemic, the company was being unable to appeal to its young customers. It lost a lot of market share on the side of casual wear to its competitors over the last few years before it declared bankruptcy. Although Brooks Brothers is known best for dressing Wall Street aspirants, it is changing its strategy to be more competitive in the market by changing its brand image by turning itself away from being a suit and tie brand and going more casual. The brand will now offer more casual options to its employees. Number 3. Lord & Taylor. Considered the oldest department store in the US, Lord & Taylor's demise did not shock many as it was already well established that the company was struggling for a long time to keep its business open. The company was acquired by the fashion startup Le Tote for $71 million when it was at the verge of bankruptcy. At the time of the acquisition, the Le Tote leadership seemed hopeful and optimistic about turning things around for Lord & Taylor. But almost a year later, both Lord & Taylor and Le Tote filed for bankruptcy. Like many other retailers who were already struggling with fierce competitors from large retailers, the pandemic just accelerated the demise of this company. All of the remaining 38 or so stores closed during the winter of 2020 and never really opened. In April of 2021, it was announced that Lord & Taylor was back in business, but just as an online store and would be known as America's Collective Store. The management also hinted that physical stores might be in the company's future, but their main focus now is to connect with their customers online. Number 2 is Sears. Back in 1969, Sears was one of the largest retailers in the world. In 2005, Sears merged with Kmart, and the combined organization generated $55 billion in revenue. However, less than 2 decades after the merger, in 2018, Sears filed for bankruptcy. Currently, Sears has only 15 full-line stores and only 3 Kmart stores, down from 2,000. Lack of innovation, along with its inability to compete with its competitors, led to the demise of this retail giant. With the rise of Amazon and e-commerce, Sears could not tackle the shift in customer consumption and behavior. By not being able to do so, they were not able to gain any competitive advantage. Between 2013 and 2017, Sears reduced its stores from 828 to 570, and even when they were putting the focus on online sales, that too declined by half and reached $1.3 billion. Unlike its competitors, Sears was not able to effectively integrate its online and offline businesses, and that proved to be a costly mistake for Sears. At number 1, Pier 1 Imports has done the worst. With a focus on distinctive, fashionable, and quirky goods, Pier 1 Imports was a retailer of home furnishings and decor. It filed for bankruptcy in February after 60 years in business, and in May 2020, it permanently closed 500 of its stores. The rise of e-commerce and shoppers turning to e-commerce giants like Amazon has led to the demise of Pier 1. People have also started to prefer more minimalistic looks for their homes, and Pier 1 didn't get the hint. By the late 2019, the company reported that its losses had nearly doubled. With annual sales down by 14%, it was unable to retain its customers or create new ones. Pier 1 had no other option but to close down its operations. This challenging retail environment was compounded by the profound impact that the COVID-19 pandemic had. Like many other failed retailers, Pier 1 now operates solely on an online platform with no physical stores. So, these were the 10 stores closing down operations or stores in many places. Do you think these retailers will bounce back again? Or is it the end of retail as we know it? Comment that down below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. I will see you in the next one.